Welcome to Kendall Speaks. I'm Dr. Bryan Stewart, Kendall Campus President, and today's guests are our men's soccer team, which I'm really excited to have. I had the pleasure of spending last year at the national tournament with these men, and hopefully we're going to return again this year. But with me is our head coach, Giuseppe DePalo. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart.
Assistant coaches Juan, Rivera, and Munga.
Hi, how are you?
Happy to be here.
Glad to have you guys here. This is really an appropriate time to have you three guys here because you started your season with your first scrimmage last night. And talk a minute about that, if you don't mind, before we get to know you. I know you had a few players sit out for coaches' reasons, and it was a 1-1 tie that could have been a 1-0 win. So you want to talk about that first?
It was a decent start for us, getting to know the new guys and learning what works, what doesn't. We left a few guys out, as you mentioned, due to some disciplinary reasons, trying to educate some guys on off-the-field behaviors that we think if we can correct those things now, they'll be beneficial toward us later. So that's part of the learning process. So, from a technical standpoint, it's a little frustrating that we didn't have our full allotment of players, but it was an opportunity to see some extra guys that maybe might not have played as much had we have had everybody. So controversial equalizing goal straight from a corner that the officials gave as a goal that our goalkeeper caught. They said it was over the line. Who knows? We watched the video, pretty inconclusive. You can't tell if it was or wasn't. But it doesn't matter. The important thing, what does matter, is we learned we have some hungry guys that are ready to compete, and it's going to be an exciting group again.
And I heard you fought for that, so I'm glad to hear you were out there, so the players could see you fight just like they need to be fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't argue it too much, but
I know.
I questioned and made sure the official was convinced, and he was, and that's how it goes. So
well, it was their preseason too, so let's hope they get it in gear. Well, let's go around the table and let's talk about your journey, certainly in soccer, but to Miami-Dade College, and we'll start with you, Coach Giuseppe. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I mean, I played in college at Franklin Pierce University up in New Hampshire. Played Division II college soccer. It was a great time, different time than what the game is now. It's evolved a lot over the years. That kind of brought me into professional football. I played 3 years in what's now the USL, the second tier. As MLS was starting, I was finishing school just as MLS was starting, and so never had the opportunity. Probably wasn't good enough, to be honest with you, to play in MLS at that time. It was a very small league, concentrated, and played a bit, three or 4 years, and then had an opportunity to get into college coaching, and I thought, that was a great chance for me to kind of make a career out of the game. Started at Embry-Riddle University in Daytona Beach. I spent 2 years as an assistant, then ended up getting the head coaching job at Nova Southeastern down the road here. Ended up coaching Juan, recruiting Juan, and coaching Juan.
Really?
Munga was actually one of the coaches at Nova prior to my arrival, so we kind of almost crossed paths. And I had the chance to coach Juan for 4 years at Nova, and then he became an assistant coach and spent 5 or 6 years with me after that. So, I coached in college for many, many years. And then towards 2015, 2016, my contract ended at Nova, and I had an opportunity to start work in the professional game. Took a job out, first with Miami FC, the team we played last night, as an assistant coach, and then ventured out to Seattle, worked with Seattle Sounders briefly, and kind of made my way back to Inter Miami, and now here at Miami-Dade College. So it's been a long and winding path that has been very educational. Met a lot of people, learned a lot, still learning a lot, and it's been a blast. And I still enjoy it as much as I did on the first day.
Yeah, that coaching path can be difficult, and we're glad to have you at Miami-Dade. What was your position that you played in college?
I was a central midfielder mainly.
A lot of running.
Defensive midfielder, like my son, who's now a freshman here. So Mateo's on the squad last night.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Played his first game, had the assist on the first goal, and played the same position as Mateo does. So It's nice to get to watch my boy play as
What's
well.
his number so I can pay attention?
He's number 11.
Number 11. All right. That's awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. Juan,
you.
Heard a little bit about your background, but tell us some more if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I was born in Colombia, moved at the age of 8 or 9 to South Florida. Basically been, in South Florida ever since. High school, I went to American High. Then, as Giuseppe was mentioning, he recruited me to play at NSU. I was there for 4 years. Then after I graduated, kind of spent about a year just trying to make it into the pro environment. That didn't work out, so the opportunity opened up once our assistant coach, Matt Perry, he decided that he was going to go his own way after NSU. So, Giuseppe called me. We spoke about the opportunity to come in as his assistant. For me back then, I think that was the best choice, and that's how I started. On the college side, I was also starting club soccer and coaching. So I started there with Davy Sharks, which was kind of like a partner program for NSU. So I was there at Nova for 5-6 years as an assistant coach. Then, moved south to the Kendall Pinecrest area, where I started coaching at Pinecrest Premier. I had a couple of teams on the boys' side, on the girls' side. Then I moved over to Miami Kendall Rush, where I've basically been there now for the past 4 or 5 years. And then once Giuseppe got the position here as the head coach, the phone call came again. It's just a full circle. Reunited. Sharks again.
There you go.
It's
That's
funny
right.
how life
Sharks
works.
again. Yeah.
So, it's, again, no-brainer. Worked with him before in the past as a player, as an assistant. So, it's a comfort level within the coaching staff. So, that's how my full circle into MDC.
That's awesome. And what position did you play?
I played as a left back.
Left
as a
back.
Left defender, yeah.
Okay,
so
defender.
up and down the middle, kind of see the Jeremy in me.
Jeremy Levivier plays in our current position where Juan played. So.
Correct. So
Yeah.
Well, I watched a lot of soccer growing up. My son played goalie. He was a basketball player, but they convinced him to play goalie, and I forgot who his coach was, but he came over from England. It was a top team there in Texas, and so I got to fall in love watching him play it.
Nice.
So, but you guys played at a higher level than he does. So, last with us, Munga, tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to MDC.
Well, it's probably pretty much going full circle. Believe it or not, I was supposed to play for Miami-Dade. Okay, I was initially supposed to go to Clemson, but a few things happened. So I came to Miami-Dade, met the coach at the first practice, and unfortunately, back then, everything was hard copy. So at the end of practice, coach brought me to his office, gave me the application, and say, fill everything out, and come back in a couple of days with everything filled out so we can get you enrolled. And that night, I ran into a friend from back home who was attending FIU.
Oh, no.
So I kind of got hijacked.
Yeah.
But, everything turned out for the best in the sense that I played at FIU for 4 years, and half of the team came from Miami-Dade.
Okay, there you go.
From mostly the Kendall campus, and there were a few from the North campus, and even a few from the downtown campus. Okay, so we ended up winning a national championship and everything, so very lucky in that regard. And in the off season, we played on those fields almost every afternoon, pickup games. Okay, that was pretty much back then. That's what we used to do. We used to come here around 5:30, and you play until it gets dark. Mm-hmm. And there will be probably 60, 80, 100 people.
Just pick up games.
Just pick up games
That's
on
great.
those fields, and those fields were immaculate.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about our fields in a minute. What position did you play?
I play forward. There's
Forward.
nothing better than scoring
and
goals.
by the way, Dr. Stewart Munga is a very modest gentleman, but he is this fall going to be inducted into the FIU Hall of Fame as the very first men's soccer student athlete
Oh,
in the
wow.
history of the
Well,
program.
we need to go. We need to
So it's
support
amazing.
that. So congratulations. I have a celebrity in the audience.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pleased that you're here. I'm pleased that you're with our Miami-Dade Sharks because I got to see last year's success, and we'll talk a little bit about what we think this year will be. Let's first talk with our assistant coaches a little bit about what your day-to-day responsibilities are. I know the big thing about programs like this is we all have our roles. Juan, you want to start? What are your responsibilities when it comes to getting our athletes ready?
Yeah, I think, we complement each other pretty well. I think, set duties we don't really have, but on our end, myself and Munga, we complement Giuseppe in recruiting. If it's prior to the season starting, getting everything ready with the current squad, everything with logistics, planning our preseason, what training sessions would look like. I take a different role with Giuseppe in helping him on the field in terms of, any session that we might have to split the squad depending on sessions and things that we want to work on. But also in the office, I work with Munga in the logistical part of it with travel and making sure that everything just runs smoothly for our players when we're traveling. So
That's great. Munga, what's your role?
Well, it's mostly a logistic, and then also take care of the the international, the apartments, because that's another department in itself. And then also everything is regarding travel, hotels, and all that stuff.
Good. Let's switch to our goals. What are some of our goals and values, Coach? What do you try to instill in our players?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, we try and create positive behaviors in the players in terms of respect and treating their fellow students and teammates the right way and being on time. I mean, basic things that you would think should be already instilled in everybody, but believe it or not, they're not.
They're college students and international students who don't.
They're still kids,
Yeah.
and we help mold them into men, into adults. I think that's probably when you talk about college coaching, that's probably the thing you do most, and everyone thinks, oh, you're a college coach, you just coach soccer all day, and that's like the coaching aspect of it is maybe 20-30%.
Right.
It's managing people, it's educating, it's helping mentor, it's all the little things off the field that, I mean, there's probably 100 things I can list, but that's the first objective, is getting them to exhibit proper behaviors. Beyond that, then we get into the soccer, and our goals as a team are clear. I mean, we want to be the best team we can possibly be. We want to try and win a conference championship. We want to try and win a regional championship, and we're hoping to get back to the national tournament to have a crack to win everything. I mean, it's ambitious, but if you're not going to compete to try and win, what's the point? I mean, the school invests a lot of money in us and the players and in the facilities, and we're very grateful for that. But at the same time, we're like, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. So, we have lofty goals, and I don't know. I mean, I think you shoot for the sky, and hopefully you hit the stars, and the star we want to hit is the third star.
There you go.
We have 2 national championships here, 2 yellow stars. We would like the third one.
That's nice. That's cool. Well, before I get into other questions, I want to talk about recruiting, because I know you spent some good time recruiting. You have a lot of returnees. Yeah. So let's take this moment. Any of you can jump in here. Let's talk about your recruiting and then the guys returning, and kind of give our audience a feel for what we're looking like this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, last year was the first year we were back, and we kind of had a great year. We managed to put the team together in 6 months from when I was hired in early January to August. It's pretty incredible what we were able to do. Proud of the fact that we had 3 All-Americans. Facundo Ochoa was a first-team All-American, Eduardo Duchini was a second-team All-American, and Samuel Calvo, our goalkeeper, was a third-team All-American, and that's wonderful. Those were great individual accolades, but this is a team sport, so I'd much rather have no All-Americans and win some championships. But having said that, we were also realistic, and we won, I think, 13 games, lost 5, and drew 2, which is a great first season after the program being dormant for so long, but. We also were realistic with our needs and some of the positional holes that we needed to fill and improve, and I think we did that. We brought in, I don't know exactly how many players, but I'm going to venture probably 12 to 15 new faces.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
So half the roster, we graduated a couple guys, and, a few guys we moved on, or they moved on, and so, we've added, and we feel like we've really, really improved the depth of the team. So it's pretty solid in every position. We feel, we're too deep in every role. We've got 2 guys that we think are starting level players in every position, which is amazing. I think that speaks to the quality of South Florida players. We managed to get a few local players, like Lucas DePalo, who's a Kendall kid, Mateo DePalo, who's, my son from Weston, Martin Yaramillo, South Florida, Javi Prieto, Sean Byard. I mean, we've got a whole host of South Florida kids that really improve the level of the squad. And obviously the international players help, because they're coming with a different view of the game, and they're adding their experience. And so it's a very complimentary group of players that, Munga helps. He has his contacts, with some of the French guys and some players in different parts of the world. And Juan has some connections in South America, and I have some connections in Italy and here. And so, as Juan said, I think, we complement each other well as a staff, and we all try and bring our strengths to the table.
Munga, talk about your recruitment and that, if you don't mind.
Again, just like Giuseppe, I mean, been coaching for almost 30 years for me, so we've been quite around the block. Throughout the years, we have so many international players, and that's what sets up the contact. What is different today is that almost every day you get emails from agencies that are popping up. So now you need to navigate that web. But at the end of the day, it's people that you've met in the past that you're really connected with, that you know you can fully trust, that pretty much pay dividends.
And I understand you all get calls regularly from community people wanting to try out and be a part of our team. Juan, how do we handle that?
I mean, it's like you said, it's every day.
Yeah.
It's phone calls, it's emails, it's players that just pop up to our office just wanting to have their share of a tryout. So at times it's tough because sometimes there's a lot that it's coming in. So we have to filter and try to make the best decisions. If it's a player that it's worthwhile, then we'll invite them into a tryout, or if it's an ID camp that we're having. So I think we do a fairly good job in that sense of, you know, filtering what players are going to be a positive impact for our program. But still, it's a lot of players that, you know, probably do fall through the cracks that, you know,
I mean, our goalkeeper, Jaime Guerrero, who played one of the games in the national tournament, was a walk-on for us that we found at our very first open tryout. And I think it was in like March of 2024, you know, so there are players out there that occasionally you can find, and we're willing to do it. I think it's more like, to Juan's point, it's a question of timing, because like a lot of players, even this week, are sending us messages. Oh, coach, I see your season is starting. Do you need another striker? And it's like 6 months ago you should have contacted us, you know? And it's like, so I don't think everyone really understands the timeline, and that this is, you know, recruitment for us. It's not 2 weeks before the season. It's a year-long job. I mean, I went to Japan. We signed 2 players for 2026. We have 2 players committed. I shouldn't say signed, but committed. One will be signing in November and is coming in January. Another one's coming in August of 2026, but I traveled to Japan. We went to Africa. Munga's been to France. I traveled to Italy. We went to Colombia together. Like, we're literally traveling the world, scouring for players, looking for people with the right character that can help.
Also, the game has changed. Okay, back to the first national championship teams here at Miami-Dade, everybody was pretty much local. Okay, now the international players have impacted the college game.
For sure, yeah. Before we leave last year's team, last year, as you said, was our first year. What did we learn in our first year? What are things that, I know we learned some things at National with cold weather, but what are some of the things you guys learned that will help us this year as we go into season 2?
Yeah, I think we learned that the college game is very demanding because it's short. It's basically a sprint, you know, for 120 days. You're playing 22 games, and it's like training, game, recovery day, training light, play again. There's not a lot of training time, and I think our squad depth wasn't quite good enough last year, and we realized that when the accumulation of games happened, because it's one thing in August and September when everyone's fresh, right? But then you hit October and November, and it's like now they're coming off 15, 20 games in a 2.5 month period. That accumulation of games, they're just not as sharp, you know? So we were cognizant of that, and we said, you know what, we need to balance out the squad a little bit and have more depth so that we can rotate players a little bit. So the idea this year is maybe some of those Friday, Sunday games, it's like you're not going to see the same faces all the time that you see on Friday in the Sunday game. You know, we're going to be able to go, okay, you went 90 minutes on Friday, you'll go 30 minutes on Sunday, you know, and hopefully in the long run, that helps us.
It's not the same, but it's kind of like in baseball where you're a pitcher. You got to give those days off.
Absolutely.
So when the playoffs get here, you're fresh. So I think that's great. Yep. Anything either of you guys learned you want to share with our audience comes to mind?
Probably last year for preseason we went 2-a-days, and we kind of paid the price a little bit on the back end. Yeah. So this year we're just going once a day because we understand that 2 months from now you need to be. You know.
And tell our audience what time of day you're practicing.
We're training at 4:30 in the afternoon. So, I mean, I'm not sure. It's I don't know what's more advantageous, going early in the morning, it's bright, but it's also hot, and sometimes your focus isn't great that early in the morning,
Right.
so 4:30 works for us. And the problem is we get the thunderstorms and we get delays at 4:30, and it's very humid at 4:30.
Very, yeah.
So it's South Florida.
They'll be in shape. That's the point of that.
They'll be fine.
Well, let's go back to some other questions about the team. Let's talk a little bit about some of the behind-the-scenes things you guys do to prepare our players. As we're right in the middle of the first of the season, we've been here, a week with our players. Yeah. What are some of the things behind the scenes you do to get our players ready?
Well, we have to prepare them academically. Okay, so especially the international players, to get them registered. Now we have to prepare them for the daily life of a student athlete, which most of them, this is the first time they're going to be facing. Also, a lot of them, it's the first time away from home. Okay, first time they're living on their own. So we kind of have to juggle all those situations, and also being an athlete in itself.
Mm-hmm. Juan, what about in practice? What are some of the things you do in practice to get them ready?
So just depending on, I guess, what our schedule looks like during the week. If we have a game, let's say on a Wednesday, we kind of do like a backwards planning in terms of, the workload and all that. That if it's 2 days, 3 days before a game, that kind of dictates what sort of sessions we're trying to organize. If it's closer to a game day, it's more about, how sharp we want them to be, speed, agility, all that stuff. So when it comes to 24 hours before the game, they're sharp in everything that they're doing. Defenders, they're working on, the defensive side of the game. Our strikers, our wingers, they're working on finishing, crossing, and different things like that, just all depending on how we are on that schedule for the week.
Did our players come in good shape into the season? How's that look?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I think no matter how prepared you are, it's like, guys live in Europe and guys live there, and it's just no matter how prepared you are, when that South Florida humidity hits you in the face, it's there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
So yes, they're prepared, but I think it's nothing that in 10 days, 2 weeks, we can't kind of iron out the kinks, and they need to play. They just need to play, and we do a good job of getting most of our conditioning and fitness through the game. Nothing we do in training really, I shouldn't say nothing, but most of the things we do in training are with the ball, and they're ball-related activities that mirror real soccer. We want them to get good at playing soccer.
Right,
There's no point in getting good at doing sprints and then you throw a ball at their feet and they're bouncing off their knees. You know what I mean? So we try and incorporate the ball in everything we do, even some of the activation, fun agility stuff that Juan does at the beginning of training to kind of get their bodies ready for sprinting and for high intensity movements. And yeah, it depends. It's very, very difficult to periodize the college season, to plan out which is a heavy workload day, which is a recovery day, because like I said earlier, the games come thick and fast, and there's not many opportunities where we can go, oh, today we're going to do running, because everything you do on the Monday impacts your performance on the Wednesday and then the following Saturday. So you have to be really, really careful to not overload players physically and mentally as well, and there's a lot of travel. I think this fall, our schedule, which isn't something we've chatted about, but our schedule we made really demanding intentionally. We haven't shied away from anybody. We're playing like 3 or 4 nationally ranked teams that were at the national tournament in the first 4 or 5 games of the season. I think in the first 30 days of the season, we're on the road for 16 days.
Wow.
We basically go to Iowa for the first 4 games, the first 2 games, 4 days. Then we come back. We're in class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think. Then we go away to like Texas. We play Richland and Angelina.
Know them well.
Then we come back here for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, travel to New York, play Monroe and Monroe Community College. And so it's that back to back to back 4 weekends in a row. So it's going to be torture, and it's going to be hard for them academically and in terms of recovery and in terms of focus. But yeah, hopefully we'll learn some good lessons in the first part of the year that will benefit us at the end. I mean, last year we had a great start and kind of like found it tricky at the end.
Right.
I'd rather take some head-on challenges and maybe have a few bumps in the road in the first part of the season and be able to peak later in the year. So that's what we're trying to do.
That's
We'll see.
awesome. Coach Munga mentioned student athletes, and you kind of did too. Let's talk a little bit about our student athletes. What kind of support do we have, and how do you work with them? You know, because you're just talking about all the travel. What's our strategy, and talk about some of our support in student.
Yeah,
life.
I mean, first of all, we were mildly surprised, impressed that we had a team GPA in the fall, during the season last fall, of 3.2, which was exceptional.
That's great.
It was outstanding, but that doesn't come by accident. A little bit, we also make sure we recruit good students that we know can do the job. But also we have a great support network with Ivania and Anya,
Right.
who really are fantastic, and they're a huge supporting cast that really doesn't get a lot of the credit, and they're on top of the guys, making sure that they're in the right amount of classes and never dropping below the minimum standard, and I'm in communication with them, so it's very, very helpful. The school really provides a lot of tutoring services, and so far it's been a good experience in terms of being successful on the academic side, and hopefully that'll continue. But like I said, I think it's also a testament to the support network and the quality of the kids that we bring in. You know.
Also, we received yesterday the envelope with all the academic certificates.
Yeah. So we had, I think maybe it was like 8 or 9 guys that received honors in terms of high GPA in
GCA.
season. So
That's great. That's great.
From junior college.
That's the
athletic
success we
association.
want. Talk a little bit about community involvement. How do we want our players giving back to the community, and how do we involve the community?
Yeah, I know there was a few events held on campus that we were involved in. The Community Fest, which I forget the exact name of it, but the Community Fest in the Circle, we were well involved with that and helped with setup and tear down. And we try and do some community clinics and camps. We did a free clinic for the community in the spring. We try and bring local clubs to campus, and we kind of do a joint training. We offer that to most of the local clubs. Like if local clubs contact us, obviously age appropriate, so like under 18, under 19, we want to give opportunities for their players to be seen and for them to have an opportunity to train. So in the spring, I think maybe 6 or 7 times we did joint training with local clubs where we invited in Athletum and Miami Rush and Pinecrest and West Pines and as many local clubs as we can kind of get our hands on and say, hey, take a look. Here's our campus. We have so much to offer. If you're a good player, maybe you're not ready to go play in D1 right now. Maybe you need some time. Maybe you just don't want to go away from home.
We're the place.
So we try and offer that to make the local clubs feel like they're part of this as well. And obviously our expertise is on the soccer side, but
we also do a recruiting seminar. We explain how to get recruited for college and stuff.
That's good. Let's talk a little bit about our facilities. I know last year you had to play on a temporary field, and now I think we've got some pretty good facilities. What do you want to talk about so our audience knows what kind of fields they're playing on and the support they have?
Yeah, I think towards the end of our fall season, we were able to finally get into our new soccer complex, which is, I would say now within South Florida, even most of Florida, I think it's one of the best playing surfaces all around. I think just going back into my playing days, I think Barry, FIU were kind of like the standards. And just comparing to that, I think we're at par with those facilities. And I think, in terms of recruiting, I think it's a huge help. They come in and then they see perfect carpet or plain pitch. Practice facility is the same. The field, it's in perfect conditions. Stands, all that we have to offer now. I think it's a huge help for us.
When I was at FIU, the top recruits, I always made sure they had their visit when I know the U.S. national team was training or big European clubs were training, and hopefully we can duplicate the same thing here in Miami-Dade. Okay, because when the recruits come to town and they see Real Madrid training here, if Real Madrid can train here, I definitely would like to be on this field.
Well, we had FIFA in this summer, which was huge. They did a bunch of their referee education here for the World Club Cup. And, we're also talking to a few professional clubs about maybe doing some training here in January. And yeah, we're excited about that. We're excited about the new facility. And like Munga says, I think bringing some sort of international level teams that can bring some great notoriety to campus and to our program and to our athletic department. It's just going to benefit everybody, and hopefully we can maintain the standard of the facilities year after year so that it stays at a high level. But our players are super excited, so are we. Honestly, I think we have pretty much everything we need to be successful, and the school's done a great job, and you, I know, have been a big supporter, so thank you. And Mike Bellato as well, our athletic director. And just, it's been a fast kind of year and a half where everything's moved quickly, So the facilities have been great, Christina as well in facilities has been very helpful. So we're excited about the future.
Yeah, we're blessed with a great team, and I'd like to shout out to our college president who got us on the really fast track to get the stadium
of course,
going too.
Madeline,
yeah.
Yeah, Madeline's been amazing.
She's a rock star.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit what you would say to somebody in our audience that's maybe a future student athlete here. What would you tell them? What do they need to do? How do they need to keep their career going to play college athletics?
Yeah, I would think.
You all three played it, so.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell
we
them.
all four played it. Let me put that in there.
Yeah, I would say, be ambitious and shoot for your goals, and college athletics is a different pathway, especially for soccer players now. The professional game is developing, so there's a lot of players that, 10, 15 years ago all came into the college system.
Right.
And now that's not the case anymore. The best of the best at young ages are kind of going into the professional pathway. And so that's basically creating some other opportunities to play college sports that in soccer that maybe didn't exist before because everything was concentrated only in athletics. But I will say, I also spent time in MLS and have worked with professional clubs, and college is a great pathway. There are some players who need time and need to learn differently on either an academic path while also pursuing sports. And so, yeah, I would just say take advantage of the opportunities you have here and see where it takes you, and sometimes you find your goals change as you're progressing through your journey.
That's great. Juan, anything you'd say to someone listening?
Yeah, I would say, especially on a recruiting topic, you got to make your name known, right? How do you do that? You got to reach out to the coaches. You got to send emails because, a lot of players, they know that they're good, but they're not really doing much to make themselves known in the market. So, they do fall through the cracks. And, what I always tell, if it's working with clubs or younger players is you got to reach out. You might be a good player, but if we don't know about you, then how do we know?
How do you know?
So, get your profiles ready. Everything now it's digital.
Keep your grades up.
Grades, everything. Yeah. So it's get your profile. If it's YouTube, whatever it is, because it's easier now to send a highlight video. Mm-hmm. Takes 2 seconds. Before, you had to drop off a CD, and we would have CDs in the office. You have to view it, mail it, it gets lost. So now it's just, get a 3-4 minute highlight, send it, and just blast it out to as many coaches as possible. Someone's going to hit. So.
Yeah, someone. That's good. Munga, your advice, Coach?
Well, I was in Madrid, Spain a few years ago, and the captain of Real Madrid made out a good point. He goes, Munga, you guys do things right in the U.S. And coming from the captain of Real Madrid and the Spanish national team, I was like, what do we do? He goes, in the U.S., you've understood, get your education first and then try to go pro. He goes, here at Real Madrid, every year for the past 10 years, in June, I see about 15 to 20 players being let go because they're not good enough to get that professional contract, and most of them have been at the club since they were 6 or 7 years old. And just like that, they've got nothing to fall back on.
Wow.
And his son was pretty much playing in the event. Yeah. Okay, so here, you have the opportunity to get your education and still play athletics. That is priceless. And the fact that at Miami-Dade, you've got two sports that have done it at the national level. So you don't need to go far if you want to compete at that level either.
That's a pretty good advertisement for the Shark Soccer. Anything else, guys, that I should have asked or that you want to say about our team before we go?
No, first home game, I believe,
Great
against
question.
Monroe.
Okay.
I believe, again, we opened last season
Against
at home
them.
against Monroe.
They were number one, too,
They
at the
were
time.
number one
Defending
at the
national
time.
champ.
Yeah.
Defending national champ.
But they've rebuilt, and I'm sure they'll be very, very good. That'll be our first home game, I believe, on the 27th of the month of September. But, yeah, like I said, we're on the road for the first month or so. So yesterday was our only opportunity to get to know our new stadium field until that game against Monroe. But, yeah, hopefully we can get some support and do the school proud.
Well, if it's okay with you, we'll do another cookout whenever you're ready.
Let's
Just
do
let
it.
me know to get
Let's
them
do
out.
it.
One more question. What are some of the teams from nationals that you're playing this year that we might
played
remember?
Iowa Western,
Okay,
who I
yeah.
believe won the national championship last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Indian
we play
Hills.
Indian Hills. We play Monroe, obviously, Eastern Florida, Daytona. So it's a very challenging schedule. Richland
They're good,
is
yeah.
always very good.
I believe they won the Division II national
Yeah,
championship.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very challenging schedule, but yeah, taking it head on, and let's see where we land.
Well, we'll definitely have you guys back and maybe bring some players toward the season. I want to thank you for coming. We do like to end our broadcast with turning the microphone around on me. So if you want to ask me any questions, you can ask me anything you like.
What position did you play? And you played basketball, right?
I did play basketball.
What position did you play?
So I could play every position but point guard. I would guard the best scorer on the other team, whether it was a shooting guard. I've guarded 7-foot centers, but I couldn't guard the point guards. I wasn't fast enough to stay with most of them.
So I've got a question. So I watch a little bit of basketball. I love basketball. It's probably my other favorite sport, and I always get in arguments and conversations with Mateo, with my son. For you, the NBA better 10, 15 years ago or nowadays?
Well, when I was growing, the NBA was really very physical. A lot of fighting. Michael Jordan was the king, and I still think he's the best player ever.
Yeah.
I know people will say LeBron is,
I
but
agree with you.
LeBron has just been there a long time. He's a great player, but
Yeah.
Michael is the best. I miss the game a little bit. We don't play so much inside anymore. It's
Right.
three-point shooting. There's not a big man. I loved banging inside with people.
There's
And,
there's no movement.
no,
like
it's not the
pick
same.
and
Yeah, you were
rolls
constantly
and,
moving,
yeah.
and I miss that.
Same here.
And when I play, I run. People all the time will say, "Will you slow down?" And I'm like, "No, you just gave me the best compliment you could." And that's not the way it's played. It's walking up the floor. It's shooting the threes, lazy on defense, But just like you guys said, in soccer, basketball's changed at the same rate. And who knows 5 years what it'll be now, and who knows what soccer will
Yeah,
be
they're
in
both
5 or 7
both
years.
sports are kind of going in the same direction. It's just becoming athleticism, very vertical, direct, as
Right.
fast as you can,
Right.
as often, shoot, pass, get the ball up court, upfield, and soccer's gone the same way. And I'm not sure I love that. We're a little bit more on the traditional side. We like the passing game, and
As I
the
watched
game's gone away from
World
that as
Cup, I
well.
loved the passing. It was awesome. When I grew up in Texas, we didn't have a lot of soccer, and I really think I could have played soccer because I could run all day, but there was never the organized soccer like it was now. So I've always wanted. Both of my kids played high level of soccer, and both played college athletics, but. I respect the sport. I think in a lot of ways it's like basketball because of the running.
There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
A lot of similarities.
And when I coached to a lot of select clubs, and I would coach soccer like a basketball game, try to pass it, move it around, get it going. But I was never at the level of you guys.
What
so.
part of Texas were you from?
Well, I was born in West Texas. I grew up in Tyler, Texas, but
okay.
spent my academic career in Fort Worth, Dallas area. So I know Texas like the back of my hand. But now I'm a Floridian. I've been here 7 years, and I like it here now. So.
And then a question for you. I mean, I know in the past a lot of national championships were hosted here. Can you expect to be hosting national championships?
Yeah,
again?
that's a great
Because
question.
It's not fun to go. I mean, it used to be Mercer, New Jersey, or even Wichita. If
Where
you can
were we
keep it
last
in
year?
Florida,
Wichita?
Yeah,
yes.
Wichita.
Freezing our
Yes.
Yeah.
So
bleep off.
I'm pretty
God.
sure the whole country would love to have it down here.
Well, and it'd be a huge advantage. We get them down here and sweat their little tails
I
off.
believe the men's is in Daytona this year.
This year,
I
yeah.
believe.
Oh, it's
Daytona-
not back up there?
No. Daytona's
So we should
hosting.
probably put a bid for
But
the following
yeah,
year.
we would love to host in the future. So that's
Well, I will
something-
say, Munga, to your question is we have 7 great programs, and I have an idea, maybe adding an 8th one day soon, or a 9th. And I would love to host national championships and certainly state championships in all our sports. And we certainly have the field, and maybe you can partner with FIU. And I've worked with some of the high schools to talk about basketball and other things. So I would love to do that. And I think we start with state, regional, and ultimately let's get that national tournament here. And let's do it. And let's win it first.
Hopefully we'll bring you some trophies.
There you go. I love it. I'll be there
season.
supporting you. Well, thank you guys for being
Thank you,
here.
Dr.
This has
Stewart.
been
Thank you
awesome.
for having us. Thank you for having
Seriously, we'll have you back maybe whenever it fits in the season when you're home for a little while. And
Yeah.
let's bring a couple of your athletes in and let's interview them.
Awesome.
And I'm still waiting on my shoes, Coach.
Oh my God! Put the order in today, Juan.
We'll get that sorted out. Don't
All
worry.
right, I'm kidding, audience. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to thank our head writer, Christina Sines, our executive producer, Paul Klein, our producer, Alex Bellows. Thank you for being with us today, and goodbye for now.